Happy Takeover 11, everybody.
Happy
This your
Takeover 11.
girl, British,
Bullet.
Level Up Magazine editor-in-chief.
So our tracks in the building. That's editor-in-chief British. She's getting them. Go hard with a master degree, or go home with a master degree.
That's what's up. So we got Lady O, aka Felicia Owen. She's gonna be on the line in a couple minutes. We tweeted this general question of what are some issues that underground artists face in the music industry, and right now we're getting ready to chop it up and discuss some things.
Yep, so sit back and listen to the interview. We got her on the line. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, I'm creative director for Spoken Free Entertainment, and we deal in promoting positive urban media. And our number one free media outlet, if you will, is the Lady O Show, which is what I host. My host name is Lady O. What we do is on the show we critique hip hop twice a week at an independently owned business. The first 2 seasons were filmed at My Soul Cafe on the southeast side of Chicago, and then season 3, which is upcoming on Valentine's Day 2011, will be broadcast live from the basement up north on 1415 North Ashland. We critique the music. The goal of the show is to allow unsigned artists to have their music played live and for them to get first-hand opinions from people who would have never heard of them before that day, like around the world, and it's on ustream.tv. It's been taking off, and I'm really excited because we've had a lot of great support from a lot of Chicago unsigned artists, and it's going to take off, with a lot of help. And I love the question that you asked because we deal with that type of issue every day on the show, or every time I broadcast. It always seems like people are talking about the moves that they're making, but I'm not too sure if it's necessarily the right moves all the time, and that's kind of what we're trying to sift through and help them out with. I know that the industry is has a lot of trust issues. You never know who to trust in business because a lot of people are unprofessional, or a lot of people aren't who they claim to be. So, we try to hook them up with some industry professionals and just some, entrepreneurial people like ourselves because, right now, everybody who, I guess, hasn't, quote-unquote, made it yet, we're trying to stand up with each other and kind of create the biggest unsigned army that there ever was. So the underdogs are sticking together. So when we have an event that we need artists to perform at, we'll holler at the people that have supported the Lady O Show because they submitted music and have gotten great feedback from the audience and gotten more listeners and downloads and stuff like that. So, we're always trying to look for the next, hottest, or even just lyrically speaking, the most content-filled person. Because for us, it's about content. It's not about money. It's really about the content. That's what we're focused on.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Wow, that's what's up.
Great. That's great. Well, I'm glad we kind of met up this year, with LeveL-Up magazine.
Oh, you know what, Lady, I want to ask you a question because it says on your Twitter page that you're from New York, right?
Yes.
So have you seen a difference with underground artists in New York compared to Chicago? And, what are some other things you've noticed about just the scene and the support, between New York and Chicago?
Absolutely. And it's funny because that question comes up all the time, especially because I'm from New York. Everybody's always, in Chicago, it's always, man, I want to go to New York, and, it's the place where if you make it there, you can make it anywhere. But I've been here in Chicago now for 7 years. I came out here for school initially, for college. And, just looking at the people over the last 7 years and how they interact with each other just on a normal basis is really interesting because in New York it's so fast-paced. Nobody really talks to each other in New York, honestly. You take the train and it's dead quiet. Because, everybody, it's really quiet. As opposed to, being on Chicago transportation and, people are a little bit more sociable and, you can spark up conversation with somebody next to you. In New York, it's kind of difficult because, you know, people are in their own zone all the time. And I remember riding a train and having my headphones in and not paying anybody any attention whatsoever. So it just seems like, you know, New York is really on its own thing. And Chicago is like it's a southern, I want to say like a southernly based town. So like, you know, a lot of the urban culture, it can be very friendly. The problem is that I don't know, I think the ego is kind of a really, really big issue, especially among these artists out here, because it prevents a lot of great collaborations. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of music is lost because of the ego. And, you know, the dude who's trying to make it, or the dude who's like this close to making it, he's going to kind of pull the next man down who's like right in the same league as him so he can get ahead. And it just, you know, it sucks because a lot of Chicago artists really do want to work with everybody. Right. They really do want to be a united town and a united hip-hop scene. But it just, I don't know, you know, it's even the hip-hop royalty, you know what I mean? Like, the unsigned artists don't have that door that's open. They can't find it as easily, and, you know, they made it very difficult. The ones that have already made it, like the Commons and the Kanyes, you know, like the reason why I support people like Mickey Halstead, who's like been on the Lady O show, and he participated in our last cipher that we had. It was for the Made Madness Roundtable Cipher. Okay. And we had Mickey's feature in the middle of the circle, and had 10 of the unsigned artists from Chicago, the hottest that I thought, that also supported my show and had been on it already, to come down and sit with him in the circle and based off of certain topics. At the time, a lot of kids were dying in neighborhoods everywhere, you know, like everything. Just the kid from Finger High School. You know, he just passed away, and it's Darian Albert, right?
I think so. There's so many kids.
Yeah, I know there's so many kids, and again, you know, that breaks my heart. You know, like I think that they're the future, you know, and they need somebody to look up to, and I think that the state of Chicago, period, as a society, just looking around, you know, it's just like, man, all this negative stuff is going around. How are we supposed to get past this? And that's why, you know, we're trying to create a situation where it's a place where you can come. It's a hate-free zone. People can come and network with each other and really talk about some real things, maybe even things that are just bothering them today. As artists, you know, they have a story to tell, and I think that every story is valuable. Who are we to say what story is, you know, garbage, or, you know, what's true and what's not true? What I expect, though, from artists on the show is that if you're going to tell a story, make sure it's accurate and have a vocabulary. Right. You know, like don't go out trying to just be in this cookie cutter mold and be with the rest of, you know, the southern rappers, you know, because this is how people have gotten on. And I'm trying to tell people, like, you have to innovate and move on, because that's the only way the music gets to take off and evolve. We can't get past these certain things if you keep going towards what's trendy. And it's not about the trend. It should be about the art form itself and you telling your individual story. Because that's what makes you unique. It has nothing to do with everybody else. So concerned with everybody else that, you know, you're selling yourself short. And I don't want any artist to sell themselves short. It's just not worth it, especially not when we're trying to do it independent. We encourage people to do and go independent, you know, because I tell them all the time, I feel like the labels are like Sally Mae. They are like Sally Mae. It's like, if you wanted a career, you know what I mean, you're going to end up owing Sally Mae. That's just what that is. You know what I mean? It's just if you need assistance, which is what labels are, you know, it's financial assistance. So you can get your music heard. And I tell people, it's like, look, at least if you did it independently for a while, just to prove to yourself that you could do it. You know what I mean? If you can do it, then do it. I say go for it. Go for the stars. But you don't necessarily need a label to do it. You can just do you. And you don't have to worry about a label, you know, having a brand name behind you. Make your own brand. Be your own brand. You know, that's how you sell yourself.
Exactly.
The truth.
Exactly. Seriously. Because it sometimes seems like, you know, you have an artist and they're not sure what they want to do. They know that, you know, they love music, or they might be a poet and they really want to get out there.